Alright, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else? And the video I'm bringing you today, I wanted to talk about metas. I wanted to talk about the metas we've had, the metas that we currently have, where the game's kind of going. Wanted to talk about calling for nerfs and buffs on the forums, and just wanted to hopefully provide a little food for thought. I've been meaning to make this video for a while. The reason I finally made this video and wanted to have this discussion is because I watched El Lobo's video yesterday, and I agreed with a lot of things that he said. Reminded me of this. I also saw a forum post. We'll just dive into the video, but I saw a forum post as well, and people are talking about, the post was talking about nerfing Stam DK Leap. Now, because it hits too hard, it does a bunch of damage. The typical stuff for why you would, nerf an ability. And so that's why I made the video. And so before we go into it, let's just talk about, what ZeniMax has done over the last couple of years. So pre-Elsewhere and in Wrathstone, we had a very, Elsewhere, Wrathstone, for the last 2 years up to that point, we had very tanky metas. We had Pirate Skeleton. A lot of people are just block casting, just high damage mitigation. You couldn't really burst people unless you perfectly combined something and got kills off. There are groups that you just could not kill when you ran across it. Everybody bitched and complained about it. And so finally, Scalebreaker came, and Pirate Skeleton got its much needed nerf. Everybody rejoiced now that people can die. They buffed dots and healing by a shit ton, so now people have to have reactionary heals. And despite the desyncs, people could actually die, despite dots being too easy to equip and people dying in cheesy, stupid fucking ways, people could finally die in PvP. Scalebreaker got the backlash that I think it deserved. Dots were just hitting too hard, they were too easy to cast on people, people were getting too easy of kills with dots. And so ZeniMax responded quickly. They came out with their next patch really quickly, and they addressed dots. They nerfed them really far. I think we can agree that they're probably nerfed too much. They can probably be brought up, not Soul Trap or Entropy in my opinion, but I feel like dots can be brought up a little bit, just to be a little bit more competitive without just being overpoweringly strong. Sorry. But right now, our current meta is very tanky. And it's not tanky via damage mitigation the way Elsewhere was. It's tanky via healing. You have a lot of off heals. And I'm not saying that the healing is bad. You have healers, rapid regen hits for very high heals. Vigor also hits for very high heals. You got rid of lots of, taking a point from El Lobo, they got rid of lots of forms of Major Defile. And so that in turn makes healing a lot more powerful. And so all this healing is just very, very good. You have Templars, their Purify is actually a very good heal now. And people just are able to recover so quickly because Honor the Dead is a great heal. I've gotten up to a 14k tooltip in my Honor the Dead. Twilight Matriarch, I got up to 18k without Entropy, or without Major Sorcery and without a continuous attack yesterday. Burst heals are crazy good. Rally's good. All this healing is very powerful, and I don't have a problem with burst healing. I don't have a problem with the heal over times being powerful. It's just we've now gone into 3 different metas. We went to a damage mitigation meta, then a high dot meta, and now we're into a high healing meta with with not many great burst options. And so my point is, guys, when you think about calling for these nerfs on the forums, think about what you want the game to be. Because if And I'm gonna agree with the poster here. Stamina Dragon Knight Leap is the hardest hitting ultimate in the game. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. Just numbers wise, it's the hardest hitting ultimate in the game. You get the highest tooltip. I have a 30k tooltip leap on my Stamina Dragon Knight build. You can get 35k pretty easily. Against good players, I'm hitting maybe 5 to 15k leaps on people. 15k if they're squishy, if they're in a medium armor build or whatever, and then 5k if they're in the heavy armor tank, Magplar build. Unblocked. I'm not saying that they block it and it does 5k, I'm saying unblocked. The hardest I've been hit in PvP, even on my squishier builds, guys, I'm running medium armor bow builds, the hardest I've been hit is 10k for a leap. And so, I think the wrong way to look at burst damage is looking at the top end. I posted screenshots of me hitting 20 to 22k leaps, 15k plus pretty regularly against players that just, you know, may very well be in PvP in Divines. And I don't think that's the right way to look at it. I think you need to look at the grand scheme of things and how hard people are hitting other PvP players. You know, players that are actually built for PvP, like the median, not the top tier. Because if we go and, you know, we keep healing the way it is, and we nerf Onslaught, because Onslaught is the second hardest hitting ultimate in the game behind Leap. Actually, it might even hit harder. It's close. But my point is if we go and we say, you know what, we're going to nerf Onslaught, and we're going to nerf Dragon Knight Leap, and we're not going to adjust the healing, all of a sudden we still have a hand-holding meta. You know, like nobody's going to want to run out of their ultimates because they're not as good. You know, like you're not. At the end of the day, guys, people in PvP have to die. You know, like I know it's a crazy concept, but if we take the top end burst damage ultimates away, people aren't going to die. And so what I counter is I would say, hey, Dragon Knight Leap does hit hard, but if it's only hitting a medium armor build for like 10k, why are we looking at adjusting it? Why don't we look at bringing other ultimates up to it? Why don't we look at Incapacitating Strike, which for 120 ultimate is actually worse than what it is at 70 ultimate, because you're giving free CC immunity to people. Stam classes don't care about being silenced. Like, it's useless at 120 ultimate for like half of the PvP population. Like, why don't we buff Incapacitating Strike and make it incapacitating? You know, why don't we buff Dawnbreaker a little bit? Why don't we buff Meteor a little bit? Why don't we buff Soul Soul Assault. I'm sorry. Why don't we buff Soul Assault? Why don't we buff ultimates and make all the ultimates hit hard in the same way that Leap and Onslaught do? Because I would much rather have a burst meta, personally, than a healing meta, a damage mitigation meta, or a dot meta. You know, if I'm getting hit hard by an ultimate, I'm okay with that. I have my chances to block it. I have my chances to get out of the way. I have my chances to avoid it. You know, now that they've added cast times, let's provide more reward, since we have higher risk now with the cast times on our ultimates, and that's what I would counter with. So there's nothing wrong with saying that DK Leap hits harder. There's nothing wrong with saying that Onslaught hits harder, because it's absolutely true. But I mean, healing's insane right now, and if you try to run on classes with underperforming ultimates, you're just going to be very upset. You know, you're going to be very annoyed in the game because people aren't going to die. And, you know, I had a fight about 2 weeks ago now. It was back-to-back fights. I was trying out a build on my Stam Sword. And I was taking a resource. And I'm just standing on the flag. It's flipping. It's going blue, right? Both times, I had 2 Magclars come up to me. Neither one of them were damage-dealing Magclars. They were both healers. One of them was wearing Sanctuary. The other one, you know, I don't know what the other one was wearing. Maybe Gossamer or whatever. But they were pure full-spec healers. You could see it with their health. You could see it with Sword and Board and Resto. They walked up to the flag. Neither one of them fought me because they didn't have damage abilities on their bars, because they were healers. And I tried to fight them. They healed through all my damage, and they stood on the flag and just flipped it. You can flip a flag as long as you have more people than the other side. And so they just flipped the flag. They flipped it back to yellow, and then the other group flipped it back to red, and then they left. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't counter the healing. I didn't have enough burst damage, and that's fine. I mean, they're healers. But if you start eliminating high burst ultimates, you're going to have more and more fights like that, where literally like both sides can't kill each other, and they go, oh well, shit. Well, I guess let's move on. And then you just have people taking empty keeps. You have people sieging down empty keeps, not fighting because you don't get AP because you can't kill anybody. You get AP because you're taking keeps. And so I think we can all agree that we don't want that to happen. There's different ways to go about doing it. You can, address healing, and you could say, hey, healing's way too powerful. We're going to go and we're going to look at every single heal in the game and adjust them a little bit. Or you could say, you know what? Let's let ultimates be ultimates. And we like where Onslaught's at. We like where Leap's at damage-wise. Let's bring other ultimates in line with these, and we can buff them. Maybe we can bring other underperforming spammables in line with D-Swing. D-Swing still does hit very hard, but it hits a lot harder than the other spammables. So maybe we can bring the other spammables like, you know, the crossbow and the Fighter's Guild skill line, I can't remember the name, Venomous Skull, Flame Skull, Surprise Attack. Maybe we bring all these spambles up by about 10%. You know, 5 to 10%. Maybe we just bring that up so where D-Swing still hits harder, it's still a cast time, it still provides off balance, so it's still like going to hit harder per hit, but now the other spammables feel a little bit better and people can get bursted a little bit more quickly. Like I said, I don't know, I'm not saying that, you know, reducing the healing is the best choice. I'm not saying that buffing damage is the best choice. I'm just saying, like, you know, when you make these posts on the forums and when you're calling for nerfs, have a vision for how you want PvP to be. And right now, like, with what I see in PvP, with the healing that I see across the board, you know, I wouldn't be looking at nerfing ultimates personally. I would be looking at, you know, buffing other ultimates, buffing other spammables, because, like I said, Dot's got a huge backlash. You know, Major Protection got a huge backlash. And so instead of bouncing from all these metas, let's stay close to one of the metas that we have, and let's tweak some things and find, you know, we're never going to make everybody happy, but maybe we can find a middle ground where, you know, we can make more people happy to where they don't have to switch their builds every patch and go Curse Eater one patch and then they're in like high healing full burst builds the next patch, and then I don't even know what next patch is going to be depending on how drastic the changes are. Like, who knows? But let's make them more gradual now. Like, we're at a spot now. Let's just, you know, look at healing or look at damage. Maybe don't adjust both adversely, and so all of a sudden we have to overreact and like completely adjust things. So you'll keep a lot of the player base more happy that way, and you know, you'll make PvP healthier in general until the hopeful performance fixes come into play, and the game's a little bit easier for that. So those are my thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice day.